use youth account money to pay for youth trips and activities with the escape. Please bow your heads to pray. Dear Heavenly Father, thank you for this wonderful evening we had to come together, and please let everyone here tonight get what Eric has to say. In your name, amen.
All right, folks. So here's the plan for tonight. Last week, we started a 2-week thing called If It Ain't Love. You know? It was just so great. So last week, things definitely got a little bit weird here. Between breaking into random song and dance to define what is love.
What is love? Baby,
Yeah, okay, so I can't handle any more of that. So after some of the stuff that I saw last week, I went home and vomited, and no, just kidding. But once you've seen Azarian dance, you never unsee that. So we defined what love was, and we did that using some really grammatically terrible phrases. And we pulled all of those from a chunk of the Bible called the 1 Corinthians, a book written by a guy named Paul. And I want to see if y'all can remember what any of the phrases that we talked about last week were. So I'm gonna sweeten the deal. If you can give me one of the phrases that we covered last week, you can have a free ring pop or fruit roll up from the cafe. Okay, so Ryan was back here going nuts right from the start. What you got?
If it isn't honoring, then it isn't love.
Yeah, that's good. If it don't give honor, it ain't love. You didn't get the grammar quite bad enough. Okay, but that's okay. You can go back and get one. Jess is back there. Phoebe, go.
If it ain't kind, it ain't love.
Yeah, go back there and get your food. Okay, Gage, go.
If it ain't patient, it ain't love.
Yeah, get back there. Go.
If it ain't humble, it ain't
Yeah, get back there. We've got one more, I think. Yeah, one more.
Yeah.
If it ain't respect, it ain't love.
Nope.
If it ain't love, it ain't love.
No. Beyonce.
If it ain't humility, it ain't
No.
If it ain't infinite love, it love.
We already got that one.
If it ain't honest.
Yeah. Were you even here last week? Okay. I was like, how did you know that? Yes, you were here. Okay, go back and get your food. Sweet. If it ain't forgiving, it ain't love. So we pulled all of that out of last week's talk. We pulled all of that stuff. 1 Corinthians chapter 13, verses 4 through 7. Listen. So we're going to pull some more terribly worded phrases from that passage tonight to finish defining what is love. And why? If I say what love is the same thing going to happen? What love is? Thanks. Okay, so we're going to read these verses again real quick before we get started tonight. Who wants to read these for me? Okay, no. Logan, go for it. Verses, please. Oh, yeah, I forgot that. Go.
Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud of pride. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps on recorded no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices within the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres.
All right, thanks so much. That's where we're going to be again tonight. Before we get there, we're going to jam. So I'm kind of hoping 29 is not midlife for me, but if it is, that banjo is my midlife crisis. Yeah. One day I was on Facebook and I was like, well dang, there's a 6-string banjo, I want that. So I met a guy in the Walmart parking lot in Marietta and got me a 6-string banjo. Yeah, boys. Just so you know, students, never meet somebody in the Walmart parking lot to buy a banjo. Bad life choice. He wasn't super sketchy, but he might have been if I was a teenager. Okay, so here we go. Round 2 of It Ain't Love. Here we go. If it don't value good, it ain't love. Okay, throw that up on the screen for me. I want you to read this with me. If it don't value good, it ain't love. Okay, so have you ever met someone who just does bad things for the sake of doing bad things? You know, someone who knows the right thing to do but refuses to do it. It's obnoxious, right? Yeah, like, I mean, if I'm being real honest, there's some of you in this room tonight who do that, and I know that because I spend time at your school every week. Why might a person like that be a prime example of if it don't value good, it ain't love? I want you to think about this for just a minute. The way that someone acts does not only affect that person, right? The way that a person acts affects the people closest to him in a big way. So if someone intentionally makes bad choices, if someone intentionally does bad things with no regard for how what they're doing is going to affect the people around them, that ain't love. Listen, if someone loves you, they will be the best that they can be for you. They won't intentionally make bad choices because the consequence of their bad choices will affect you. Sometimes to the same or greater extent that it's affecting themselves. Now I have this conversation with students at the middle schools all the time. Some girl runs up to me and she's like, "Oh my gosh, I'm dating blank," like fill in the blank. And the guy that she names is a terrible human being. Like, perverted, disrespectful, mean, lazy, a bully. And a lot of times the girl that's dating this guy is actually a pretty decent girl. Like, good grades, liked by the teachers. And our discussions typically go something like this. So, "Hey Eric, I'm dating!" And I'm like, and seriously, like, I just look at this girl blank face and I'm like, why? And so she starts to tell me. And it normally goes something like this. "I don't know, he asked me out." And I'm like, that doesn't mean that you have to say yes. He's not a good person. "I know, but he's nice to me." To which I respond, "Yeah, but you dating him will probably get you a bad reputation. People will probably assume that you're like him and you don't want that." And then she's like, "Oh." And that's pretty much the end of the conversation. She doesn't want to talk anymore. If someone loves you, they want what's best for you. They want what's good for you. What's best for you is them staying out of trouble. What's best for you is them working hard. What's best for you is when they respect their authority. What's best for you is them resisting the urge to fight, because all of that stuff is going to come back on you. If someone claims it's love, but it don't value good, it ain't love. If it don't value good, it ain't love. Last week, we discussed the word humility. We came to the conclusion that humility is resisting the urge to take all of the credit for yourself when other people help you achieve something. Humility is laying aside your pride to help someone else. Humility is admitting your shortcomings and your flaws. If humility ain't at work in your friendship, your family, your relationship, there's a pretty good chance that this next characteristic of love won't be either. Here it is. If it don't look out for you, it ain't love. Read it with me. If it don't look out for you, it ain't love. Okay, so if you didn't know, I have a little baby girl. That was yesterday. I was like, it's so nice outside. We're gonna go swing. So we went out swinging on my back porch in the ghetto, and she was giving her stay away ghetto folks scream. And so yeah, my baby girl she's super cute, super sweet, super funny, but she's dumb.
That's so mean to say.
And
especially to our daughter.
And here's what I mean. Like, for a baby, she's smart, right? Like, she can figure stuff out. But just because she's smart for a baby doesn't mean that she's smart, right? Like, she hasn't figured out life yet. She thinks it's a good idea to like scoot herself underneath a chair, and then like instead of scooting herself back out, she just repeatedly bashes her head against the bottom of the chair and thinks it's fun. Like, who does that? She'll be sitting on my lap, and she'll decide, I want to be on the floor. And so she'll straighten her entire body out and start flailing back and forth, trying to get from my lap on the couch to the floor. Okay? It's like, that's not really a good idea. She thinks that literally everything belongs in her mouth. So, I mean, she will literally try to put anything and everything, no matter the size or the safety, into her mouth. Now, I want you to think about this for just a second. As angry as it makes her that I pull her out from under the chair to keep her from decapitating herself, as angry as it makes her that I will not let her throw herself off my lap, as angry as it makes her that I will not allow her to attempt to swallow the entire TV remote, the loving thing for me to do is to stop her, right? To keep her from harming herself. How loving would it be if I just let her do whatever she wants? It wouldn't be very loving, right? Like, I look out for my cute, sweet, funny, dumb little baby because I love her. I want her to live to be smarter someday. If someone claims that they love you, but they never warn you when you're headed for trouble, that ain't love. You know, they never try to stop you when you're on a path that's going to lead to pain and suffering. That ain't love. We typically see it that way when we're trying to keep someone else from doing something harmful, right? Like, we typically see it that way when one of our friends is doing something they shouldn't be doing, and we're trying to protect them. It's like, I'm just doing this because I care about you. I'm just doing this because I want what's best for you, because I love you. But for whatever reason, we want our friends and family to back off, to chill out, to leave us alone when they try to protect us, when they try to keep us from doing things that we shouldn't be doing, even when what we want to be doing is terribly unwise or potentially hurtful or dangerous or unproductive. Next time you're tempted to freak out or blow up on somebody who cautions you to stop doing what you're doing because it's not good for you, I want you to remember, if it don't look out for you, it ain't love. If it don't look out for you, it ain't love. Next, if it don't trust you, it ain't love. Okay, let's hear it. If it don't trust you, it ain't love. So there's a fine, man, the banjo, the accent, what is this place turning into? Welcome to CMT, folks. Okay. So there's a fine line between this "it ain't love" statement and the last one. A fine line between looking out for someone because you love them and looking over their shoulder because you don't trust them. Here's what I mean. Have any of you ever been in a relationship with someone who's a little like over the top protective? And by protective, I don't really mean protective, I mean like paranoid. Like they insist that they have the password to your phone, your Instagram, your Snapchat, your YouTube, your Facebook, because they like to know who you're talking to, when you're talking to them, why you're talking to them, how you're talking to them. Like they don't want you to have any leeway. They want to know everything that's going on because they don't trust you. That's what I would consider crossing the line between looking out for somebody and not trusting you. And that ain't healthy, like especially in your context as middle and high school students. That should never be the issue. You know, that's not healthy. That ain't love. Especially because you're in middle school and high school, and especially if you haven't said or done anything to break their trust. You know, trust is one of the foundation stones of any good relationship, whether it's a friendship, a dating relationship, a family relationship, a marriage. Without trust, the relationship just won't function properly. Like selfless, reckless, joyful love is all but impossible if you don't trust someone. Maybe some of y'all are like, well, my parents monitor my texting and what I do on the internet. Clearly they don't trust me. Does that mean they don't love me? Well, first of all, I gotta ask, did you do something to break their trust? If so, they're monitoring you for a good reason. That's called accountability. What they're doing, they're trying to keep you from doing something stupid and potentially harmful again. And as we've talked a couple of times over the past couple of weeks, to let someone do something that's not good for them, that ain't love. While love is built on trust, true love is not blind. You can't do stupid stuff, dishonest stuff, and expect people to trust you. You can't really blame someone for not trusting you if you aren't a trustworthy person. It just doesn't work that way. If you do something to break someone's trust and you've done nothing to restore that trust, you can't expect to be trusted. And that's your fault, not theirs. For example, I'm going to throw some shade right now. I don't trust Alizé with hot peppers. Every time she winds up with a spice pack or a hot pepper pack like the ones you find in the pizza box, she tries to swallow the whole thing. And I mean, every time it ends badly. I thought we finally reached the end of this road at camp this past summer when she starts like heavy breathing, hyperventilating. I had to carry her out of the dining hall, like, because she thought she was dying. And I'm thinking, okay, that's the end of it. I can finally trust her not to do this again. Wrong! Like, it just keeps happening. And every time she just like frantically apologizes and promises, I'll never do it again! And every time she does it again. And so the loving thing for me to do is, if I order a box of pizza and Alizé is going to be there, I open the box and take out the pepper packet before she even has a chance to get it. Is it because I don't love her? No. It's because she's broken my trust and hasn't done anything to restore it. Like, my lack of confidence in Alizé's will to resist the hot pepper packet doesn't mean that I hate her. It means that I don't want her to die. Okay? That's fair, right? Like, I mean, that is a 100% fair what's going on in our lives right now. If you want people who love you to trust you, don't break their trust. Don't eat the peppers. Don't lie to them. Don't cheat on them. Don't steal from them. Don't disrespect them. Don't go behind their backs. If you want to experience true love, be trustworthy. And if the person really loves you, they'll trust you. If it ain't hopeful, it ain't love. Okay? Now this one might strike a chord with some of you guys, and yeah, so let's talk. If it ain't hopeful, it ain't love. So when I was in high school, I was so bad at math. Like, so bad. I dreaded going to Algebra 2 every day. I just knew that it was going to end badly. I felt like I could never pass anything. I felt slow. I felt stupid. I felt like a total failure. I felt like math hated me. I felt hopeless. No one likes feeling that way, right? No. I mean, nobody wants to feel hopeless. And it's one thing if it's because of a math class. It's a totally different kind of hopelessness if it's brought on by another human, right? If someone always makes you feel stupid or worthless or like a failure, they make you feel like you're never going to amount to anything, that ain't love. If somebody makes you feel that way, that ain't love. If someone sucks every dream, every ounce of ambition right out of you, it ain't love. If someone drains your will to succeed, it ain't love. If someone in your life is telling you that you were a mistake, that you're a waste of time and space, that you're no good, that ain't love. Here's my advice if you find yourself in a situation like that. First of all, let the person know that how they're treating you is making you feel hopeless. Let them know that they are really hurting you. And hope in doing that they'll change, that they'll realize, I didn't even know that I was doing this. Like, I'm really sorry, let's fix this. But if they don't change, if they don't fix things, if possible, get away from them. Like, if it's a friend, ditch them. If it's a boyfriend or girlfriend, dump them. If it's somebody on social media, block them. You can't keep hanging around with somebody that keeps you feeling hopeless all the time. It's not good for you. But here's when it gets tough. Maybe the person speaking hopelessness into your life is a teacher or a parent or a manager, and you just can't cut them out of your life. What are you supposed to do? The answer is not kill them. Here's what you're supposed to do. You need to do your best to surround yourself with people who are speaking hope into your life, with people who believe in you, with people who want to see you succeed and will help you do it. Surround yourself with people who will dream with you. Not sure where to find people like that? I have a suggestion. How about right here, okay? Here at The Escape, we would love to be the voices speaking hope into your life. We can't stop the people who are mistreating you. We can't fix your life. But we can offer our friendship and our encouragement and our hope. Why would we be willing to do that? It's because we genuinely love you. One more. If it don't stick around, it ain't love. If it don't stick around, it ain't love. That sounds almost like a country song. If it don't stick around, it ain't love. Wow. It was. This is why I don't write country music. It all sounds just like that in my head. Okay. So now that I've offended all the country music lovers, maybe your life is going really well. You like the way that you look, the way that you dress, you're happy with how you're doing in school, you have some money, you're a starter on your team, your parents give you what you want, they let you do whatever you want, whenever you want to do it. Maybe that's your life right now, and maybe because of all of that, you have lots of friends, okay? Friends that like all of those things about you. Friends who are all like, OMG, ILYSM. It means I love you so much. See? I'm hip with the gangsta lingo. Actually, that would be middle school girl lingo. Okay, bye. Okay, so now imagine this. You've got everything going for you in life, you know? You've got the clothes, you've got the spot on the team, you've got the grades, you've got the parents who let you do anything and everything, you've got some money. But imagine this. All of a sudden, something happens, and all of that starts to go away. something happens and you don't look like you anymore. Your parents lose their jobs and you can't afford to dress the way that you like to dress. You don't have any money anymore. You get hurt and you get cut from the team. Your parents get really strict and they don't let you go wherever you want and do whatever you want anymore. I want you to think for a second. How many of your friends would stick around? How many of your friends would still want to spend time with you? Listen, if your friends, your family, your boyfriend or girlfriend aren't willing to tough out the hard times with you, if they don't stick around, it ain't love. In the book of Luke in the Bible, there's a story known as the prodigal son. The story goes like this. This guy, probably about the age of some of you guys here, he decides that he's done with his dad's rules. He's done working for his dad. He's done living in his dad's house. And he's going to get out of here. Well, this guy, this prodigal son, he knows that his dad has a big old fat savings account with his name on it. So one day he goes to his dad and says, Dad, I'm getting out of here. Why don't you just go ahead and give me my savings account and I'll be gone. Now, this savings account was meant to be given to the son whenever his dad died. Like, it was going to be his inheritance. But for whatever reason, Dad's like, fine, take your money and leave. And that's what he did. And the Bible tells us that he went off and he partied and he lived a wild life. And all the while, I mean, you can't really party by yourself, right? So all of these people were hanging around him. He had all of these friends. But then the very next verse, it says his money runs out. And one day he looks up and he's sitting in a field with a bunch of pigs, nothing to eat. So he's eating the food that he'd been hired to feed to the pigs. Nobody else around. Every one of his friends ditched him. Nobody's left. You know, I'm sure the guy felt like a rock star when he was on top of the party scene. Because, you know, everybody likes to hang out with the guy with money, with the guy who's paying for everything, throwing the best parties, providing the best entertainment. But when the money ran out, there was nobody left. Were they ever really his friends? No. Did they ever really love him? I think you can figure out the answer to that question easily enough. If it don't stick around, it ain't love. All right, so we're going to wrap this thing up. Over the course of the last couple talks, we've worked through 10 it ain't love statements pulled from 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 7. So let's run through these statements one more time. I'll read the first part. Y'all give me the it ain't love part of the statement. Deal? Okay, so here we go. If it ain't patient, let's keep running through these. Oh, they're not all on there, are they? Okay, sorry. If it ain't kind, if it ain't humble, if it ain't forgiving, if it don't value good, if it don't look out for you, if it don't trust you, if it ain't hopeful, if it don't stick around. Here in just a minute, we're going to do another read through of the verses that all of those were pulled through. But before we do, I want you to consider something really important. As hard as it is for me to acknowledge the fact, we are all human. Like all of us, that includes Luke and Liberty and even Billy. We are all human. And you want to know, listen, you want to know who else is human? Your parents and your teachers and your classmates, your boyfriends, your girlfriends. And you know what that means? It means that none of us are perfect. It means that all of us are sinners, that we've all thought, said, and did things to dishonor God and each other, and that none of us have a perfect track record when it comes to loving one another. Now, maybe as you've listened to the last couple of talks, you found yourself tearing your friends and family apart in your mind. Maybe some of them deserve it. You know, I know that some of y'all come from pretty messed up homes. Some of you have been lied to and disappointed and abused and abandoned by people who claim to love you, and clearly they don't. And I hate that. I really do. I wish that wasn't the way that things are. And I'm not going to try to convince you to give them another chance to do the same thing to you. I'm not going to try to convince you that they really do love you and that they'll fix things, because maybe they won't. Some of you are convinced that your parents hate you, that your teachers hate you, that your small group leaders hate you, when in all reality that couldn't be farther from the truth. Sure, they don't love you perfectly 100% of the time, but you don't love them perfectly 100% of the time either. My point is this: the love that we've talked about over the past couple of weeks, it's the ideal. Like, it's the target that we should be aiming for. Most of us still have a lot of work to do. Most of our friends, our parents, our teachers still have a lot of work to do. So give some grace, you know? Don't assume that someone doesn't care about you just because they aren't checking all of the boxes all of the time. We all have plenty of room to improve our love. Okay, so here's what I need. I need somebody to read through these verses for me again. Who's got it? Somebody who hasn't done anything for me yet this evening. Rib, go for it.
Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrongs. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices with the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, and always perseveres.
Yeah. So those are the verses we focused on the last couple of weeks. That's where all of these "it ain't love" statements have come from. Last week, I made you a huge promise. I did. I promised to teach you a song that would help you remember these verses. A song that has the potential to get stuck in your head forever. So let's learn this song. You are in for such a treat. I learned this when I was in 3rd or 4th grade out at church camp, and it's literally been stuck in my head ever since. But before we get to the song part of the song, there's a little bit of clapping in the song, and you gotta get the claps right, or it messes up the whole song. So I'm going to teach you a couple really simple clap patterns, okay? And I actually, when I put the song in the PowerPoint, I put the clap patterns after the words. That way we can get it right. So the first clap pattern, you're going to clap 3 times, and then pause, and then clap twice. So it's going to go. Okay? So 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. So on the PowerPoint, it's going to say 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Innovative, right? And then the next clap pattern is a lot harder. It's just 1, 2. You got it. You got it. Okay, so 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, and then you've got 1, 2. Okay? So I got no instruments, I got no background music, so this is just going to be the purity of my, I don't know the chords, this is just going to be the purity of my God-given angelic voice, okay? So here we go. You ready? You don't have to sing along the first time, but you have to sing along the second time, so you better be listening. You ready?
Yeah.
You can clap a lot. Make sure you clap on pattern there. Don't be messing. This is going to be bad enough. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud, it is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. It keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil. But that's just because it was too high. Rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Wasn't that great? Okay. Now, y'all are going to make that go viral, and we will make America great again. Okay. So, y'all are going to help me sing this time, okay? And this is gonna be great. Here we go. Everybody just stand up for me. I'm gonna try to start a little lower so I don't have to get this side. Love is patient, love is kind. It does not envy, it does not boast. It is not proud, it is not rude. It is not self-seeking. It is not easily angered. Keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. And if we don't, okay, have a seat. So I'll tell you what. If anybody manages to successfully sing that song to me just like that next week, I will give you $5 worth of free food from the cafe. I'll tell you what, the first 5 people that can successfully sing that song to me just like that next Wednesday, I will give you $5 worth of free stuff from the cafe. You can find it on YouTube. The Escape now has a YouTube channel. We will also make sure to share it to the Facebook page. You'll be able to find it on maybe a link on the Instagram page. Well, I mean, yeah, but you got to remember the claps and shimmies. Okay, so we're gonna get ready to sing, and then we'll break up into small groups after that. So band, come on up. Thanks for putting up with my fantastic singing. Now you can listen to some real music.
Jesus, Jesus. fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, your name is a light that the shadows can't deny. Your name cannot be overcome. Your name is a light forever lifted high. Your name cannot be overcome. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, 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 you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. Sing it one more time. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus, you silence fear. Jesus, Jesus, you make the darkness tremble. Jesus, Jesus. God, I thank you so much for this day. God, we thank you so much just for gathering us here, Lord. God, we know that your name is more powerful than all evil. Lord, we thank you so much just for helping us through this life, Lord. In your name, all darkness will tremble. God, we love and praise you. In Jesus' name we pray. Amen.
All right, have a seat for just a second. Couple quick reminders. If you want to get in on the peanut butter egg fundraiser so you can afford, first of all, we're taking a high school mission trip at the end of the summer, July, early August, for just out of 8th grade through just out of 12th grade. It's going to cost about $170 a person. So if you're like, yeah, I'm definitely going on that, you need to come up with $170. So this peanut butter egg fundraiser would be a great way to get you started. Each egg that you sell is $3 into your youth account. That's really easy money. So grab an order form from the help desk on your way out. It has the date that it's due, the money, and the order form is due at the bottom. In order for the eggs to be made and given to you to deliver, we have to have the money for all of them before we make them. We will only give you the number of eggs that we have money for. So if you turn in an order form with 4 egg orders and only they're $5 a piece. Oh gosh. Yeah, well, if you sell 9, you get 27 in your youth account. But if you turn in an order form with 4 egg orders, which should be $20, and you only have $15 to turn in, we're only going to give you 3 eggs, which means one of your customers will be unsatisfied. And we don't want that. Okay? Next week, this is a big announcement, folks. If the weather is nice like it was tonight, drum roll, we will play Detective General. As long as the weather is good next Wednesday night, we will play Detective General. Then the week after that is when Mr. T is going to be here. So we've got a couple of great weeks coming up. Okay, so one more thing. There's been a group of guys hanging out in front of the building all evening trying to cause problems. Y'all are going to know some of the guys. If they're out there when you guys go out to head up to small groups, ignore them. go on up to your small group. I do not want anybody leaving this property before 8 o'clock. We've already talked to them and told them that if they don't stop doing what they're doing, we will call the police. So you don't want to be in on that. If it don't if it don't value good, it ain't love. They don't love you. They're trying to get you in trouble as soon as you walk out that door. So guys, you're just going to head upstairs to your small group. I know we have a couple of new guys here tonight. If you don't know what a small group is or where you need to go, just talk to some of the other guys. They'll take care of you. Those of you going on the Parchment Valley retreat, meet me up here. We're going to talk for 5 minutes, and then you'll go to your group.